About how to turn percents into decimals and decimals into percents. So let's do our do now. Let's review over what percents and fractions are. The table shows the makeup of a New Year's Eve television show. What fraction of the show will not be for audience to speak because they're wasting their producer's time? So 80% will be used for audience. So what percent will not be used for the audience? 80% will not for the audience. What do you remember about percent? The definition of percent means per 100. That's why it's per cent. It means per, how many cents are in a dollar? 100. Per 100. So we have 80%. That means 80% really means 80 per 100. So that is our fraction. Of course, you can break this down into, so we have 80 out of 100. We could break it down to 40 over 50. You can also break it down to 20 over 25 and divide both numbers by 5 and you get 4/5. Of course, some of you might say, why don't you just divide both numbers by 20 and get 4/5 right away? That is definitely the case. That would save you so much time to find the greatest factor you can divide both of these by. So 4/5 of the show is not spent for the audience. That means 1/5 or 20% of the show is spent for audience participation. So, Miss Meyer baked brownie. Of the 100 brownies, there's 100 brownies right here, or you could draw and cut out. She plans to give 7/20 to her student. Isn't she nice? Let's shade it in. So we know there are 100 brownies here. She's going to divide it into how many sections? 20 sections. So let's divide this into 20 sections. And she's going to give 7 of the 20 sections away. That's 1 section, 2 section, 3 section, 4 section, 5 section, 6 section, 7 section. So she's going to give 7 of the 20 section. As you notice, each section has 5 brownie bits. So she's going to give 7 sections away. Each one's going to give 5 of them. So that's really, she's giving away 35 brownies out of 100. Because 7/20 is the same as saying 35 hundredths. And is 35 hundredths the same thing as saying a percent? Again, percent means per 100. So what percent is this? 35%. We shade it in 35 of the 100 or 35%. And how would you write this as a decimal? If each one of these squares represent a hundredths, they are 35 hundredths. So what decimal is shaded? 35 hundredths, 35%, or 35 over 100. It also could be 7/20. All of these mean the exact same thing. They are all equivalent. However, Mr. Joe, being the nice guy he is, trying to bake brownies. Of the 100 brownies, he plans to give away 0.36 hundredths of the burned. Wait, Mr. Joe tried to bake brownie. Of the 100 brownies, he plans to give away 3,600 of the burned brownies to his students. He will call it dark chocolate. Shade a grid below to represent that portion of the burnt brownies that he plans to give away. So he's going to give away 36 hundredths of it. So that's 36 hundredths. What fraction of the 100 brownies, what out of 100 per 100, how many does he plan to give away? 36 per 100, or 36 out of 100. And what percent is that? 36%. Because remember, percent means per 100. All right, during class we're going to be doing a survey. So how do you turn a decimal into a percent? Well, the way you do it is you write the decimal as a fraction. You write it as you say it, place value. This is 65 hundredths. This is 5 hundredths. This is 2/10 is really 20 hundredths. And what does percent mean again? Per 100. So if this is 65 per 100, that's 65%. If this 5 per 100, it's 5%. If this is 20 per 100, it's 20%. So percent means how many parts per 100. So 65 parts per 100, 5 parts per 100, 20 parts per 100, or 20%, 5%, 65%. So let's do a couple of examples about this. In 2014, the number of people 65 years and older in Michigan was 0 and 13 hundredths of the total population. Express this as a percent. So we have 13 hundredths. What is percent again? Percent means per 100. So, how many parts per 100 are there? 13%. Again, if you want to, we can draw a grid. I know you can draw a 10 by 10 grid, and you shade in 13 of it, and then it'll be 13 hundredths, 13 out of 100, or 13%. About 4,100 of Hawaii's total area is water. A lot of water. Never been there, don't want to go. So, 41 hundredths. So what is the percent per 100? It is 41 per 100, or 41%. A player's batting average was 7 hundredths, rounded to the nearest hundred, expressed as a percent. So this is 7 hundredths. So what is this per 100? 7 per 100, or 7%. In a recent season, Jeremy Lin of the LA Lakers has a field goal average of 4/10. What is 4/10 written as a percent? Oh, hundreds. So hundreds, it has to be, make sure you write it as a hundreds place because it's per 100. So it's 40 out of 100, or 40 per 100. So what percent is this? 40%. China accounts for 21 hundredths of the world's population. What percent of the world population does not live in China? So we know what do not. So we know 0 and 21 hundredths live in China. So this is 21 hundredths. Or per 100, 21% live in China. So what percent do not live in China? What is the percent? What's the percent again? It's per 100. So 21 parts per 100 live in it. What part do not live there? 100 minus 21 is 79. So it's 79%. If you add it up together, it's 100%. That's the world population. Together, it makes 100%. But 21 part of it is for China. The other part is 79% for the world. So what happens if you are given a percent this time and you have to turn it into a decimal? So you have 28%. You need to write the percent as per 100. Write this percent as per 100. So again, what does 28% mean? Per 100. 28 per 100. What's 6%? 6 per 100. What's 80%? 80 per 100. Now you just write it as you see it. 28 hundredths, 0.28. 6 hundredths, 0.06. 80 hundredths, 0.80. So, according to the U.S. Census, 76% of the United States workers commute to work by driving along. That's me. Express 76% as a decimal. So 76%. What does percent mean? Per 100. 76 per 100. How do you write 76 hundredths as a decimal? 0.66. If you do not know how you get that, you could do this. 76 goes inside, 100 goes out. You're breaking it into parts. So how many hundreds go into 76? It is not possible. Put a point. Add some placeholders. How many hundreds go into 760? 7 times. You have 60 left. You bring down to 0. How many hundreds go to 600? 6 times. So it's 0.76. That's why you're getting 0.76 by dividing out 7,600 to this. In a U.S. midterm election, 9% of eligible adults voted. Oh, God, don't tell me this is going to be happening today, November 4th. What is 9% written as a decimal? So it's 9% is 9 per 100. How do you write 9 hundredths as a decimal? 0.09. If you do not trust me, if you do not believe that is the decimal equivalent, you could divide this out. 9 divided into 100 groups, or 100 per 100. Can 100 go in 9? No. Can 100 go in 90? No. Can 100 go in 900? 9 times. So that's where the decimal comes in. When asked to choose their favorite sport, 60% of United States adults who follow sports selected professional football. What decimal is equivalent to 60%? So 60%, 60 per 100, 60 hundredths, 0, and 60 hundredths. The table shows a Brazilian student in 6th grade who chose each kind of drink as their favorite. Express the percent of students who did not choose tea. All these kids here do not like tea. So what percent do not like tea? We know 22%. So if you have a 10 by 10 grid and you shaded 78 of them, how many would not be shaded out of the per 100? 78. Oh, stop. I said the answer there. Let's do it again. So if you had a 10 by 10 grid and you shaded 22%, all of this is not shaded. So 22% is for T. What percent is not for T? Again, it's per 100. So 100 minus 22 will give you 78%. So 78% do not like T. How do you write this as the decimal? 78 per 100, or 0 and 78 hundredths. Let's do our last question. About 5% of surface area of the United States is water. What decimal represents the amount of the United States surface area taken up by water? So 5% is 5 per 100. Oh goodness, how do you write 5 hundredths as a decimal? Right here. Do not write this. If you write this, you're saying 5 tenths or 50 hundredths. Wrong, 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 wrong. Think about it. You have a 10 by 10 grid. You only shade 5 parts of it. That's why it's 5 hundredths, not 5 tenths. 5 hundredths. Again, if you don't trust me in this decimal, let's divide it out. You have 5, you're dividing it per 100. Can 100 go in 5? No. Can 100 go in 50? No. Can a group of 100 go into 500? 5 times. That is why it's 0 and 0, 5 hundredths. So this is percent and decimal. Again, how do you turn, if you are given a decimal like 73%, and they ask you to turn it to a decimal, as you know, is per 100. So 73 hundredths is this. But what happens if you're giving a decimal like 0 and 2 hundredths, and they ask you to turn it to a percent? This is 2 hundredths, and then what's the definition of percent again? Per 100. What part is it per 100? 2 of them, 2%.